Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Welcome to Adjuster Hour. If you haven't been with us and this is your first time listening in, Adjuster Hour is just a platform in the insurance industry where I interview like-minded insurance professionals, sometimes not like-minded, and it always is a good discussion. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, I have Erika Duda with InsureQuest here today. Thank you for joining me, Erika. I would
Thanks for
love for
having me.
you, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hey, I'm Erika Duda, like you said. I have been in the insurance industry for about 20 years now, which is crazy to say because I still feel like I'm in my 20s. Um,
Me too,
and
girl.
I know. And like most people, I didn't dream about, being a claims adjuster. I kind of just fell
Mhm.
into it. I saw a role and I'm like, hey, that sounds interesting. So I applied and there I was. I started my career on the carrier side. So I worked with a couple of really awesome organizations, Progressive Farmers, Mercury, Auto Club, working my way up through management, process improvement, training. And Progressive in particular had an extraordinary culture which really shaped me learning early on. Um, I actually completed my master's work in like organizational development with
Oh, wow.
a, a, my thesis was on workplace initiatives and generational differences because of what I learned at Progressive. So I had a really good background and a really solid um, background in the carrier space before moving over to the IA side. Um, and once I transitioned, I saw that there was so much opportunity in this industry. It wasn't just being a claims adjuster, you could literally do anything. And so I worked in a couple of different roles. I actually moved over to the um, independent side during the whole State Farm reorg thing, where there was
Mhm.
like thousands of adjusters working nationwide. Um, and eventually found my way over to Florida, started working for a couple TPAs, working large loss claims, and then worked with a TPA as a training and development director. And we basically built their training from the ground up, which was
Oh,
super,
wow.
super awesome. Um, and I think that's what really triggered this is what I want to do. This is my passion. Um,
Mhm.
and I guess I did too good of a job there because we built up the training. And then they're like, cool, like we've built this, but we don't need you full time anymore.
Mhm.
So at that point, I launched InsureQuest to work with other IA firms and other smaller companies to help build up their training. And that's what kind of lands me here today.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So, yeah, you got started. And so you said you didn't dream about being in the insurance industry. It just kind of fell in your lap. Are you happy that that happened the way that it did? You look back at your career?
I mean, I definitely am. It's funny because for the first 10 years of my career working for carriers, working at a desk, I didn't think I was going to stay in insurance. And
Mhm.
um, I actually went to grad school to get a master's to get out of insurance to go do something different. But when I transitioned over into the IA space, it really showed me that you don't necessarily have to work for a company. You don't have to be, in a corporate position if you
Mhm.
want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to own a business. There are those opportunities out there. And so that actually worked a lot better for me. I am really good at what I do. But I have my own I have my own process. And so being able to do that process my way and still
Mhm.
contribute a product that the client was happy with was my perfect niche.
Okay, that's awesome. So, how did you like how did you decide you had to transition to the business, okay? So you outperformed. You did a wonderful job at the company, and then they said, "Okay, thank you." And then how was that thought process to make you go, "Okay, this is where I'm at now. What can I do?" Like, tell me a little bit about that transition a little bit more.
Um, That's a good question. Because I look back on it, I'm like, why did I do that? No. Um,
Why did I do this?
why did
Yeah.
I do that? No. I think especially coming from being an IA, and I think you can
Mhm.
appreciate this as well. You're your own business, and
Yeah.
so you learn to work with vendors, work with companies that you want to work with. And so when I was moving into the space of like, okay, like I worked for a company as an employee,
Mm.
and now I'm going back to being an independent again. It was kind of the same process. It was just not adjusting. So it's like now
Yeah.
I'm I'm building these relationships, but not as an adjuster, as someone that can bring learning systems to different organizations.
Okay.
So I guess that's kind of it kind of came
Mm.
naturally, I guess. It was just like, okay,
Sure.
well, I've already been on my own for 10 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
what's another a couple of years? But I will
Sure.
say it is very different. So, moving from being an independent adjuster to owning a business like this, there were a lot of growing pains. Um, Probably some that I was super naive about, but
Mm.
um, I've learned a lot from the experience, and I'm so happy that I've gone through those pains and gotten to
Mhm.
where I need to be now. But it was definitely an interesting, at least first year for me.
Were you scared?
Oh, terrified.
Okay.
I'm like, but how many of us are not terrified?
It's terrifying. I mean, just me doing Adjuster Hour, I was the first episode, I was terrified. Oh my gosh. I think I was just sweating so much. I was like, "What am I doing here?"
I
But
would
it's
not have been able to do this 2 years ago. I,
yeah.
I would not, and that's the thing. I was so, and I've always been introverted, and also
Mhm.
I had a lot of social anxiety. So
Okay.
introverted Erica was like,
Mhm.
okay, here I am. But it was a necessity. So it's like,
Sure.
okay, like if I want to be successful at this, I have to get out there and um, get over the fear that some people may not like me, and that's okay.
Mm.
There are a
Yeah.
lot of people that won't, but there will be a lot that will, and so yeah, so I'm totally there with you.
Mhm.
Going to conferences, speaking at conferences, doing things like this. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that. I love going to conferences. I love being around people. I mean, it's just so much fun meeting people in the industry and like, I guess that's why I do this, finding out how people started,
Mhm.
what's their love, what motivates them. But yeah, it can definitely be stressful and scary speaking at conferences and doing all this stuff. But like you
Mhm.
said, I mean, in order to be successful at for your company, you have to get out of your shell and do things like that.
Yep.
So, and I would say the same for adjusters. Like you said,
Absolutely.
it's like running a business. You have to market yourself. And you're probably so tired of me hearing this, but get on LinkedIn. Stop hiding in the shadows.
Mhm.
Market yourself.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to ask you a hard question.
Okay.
Okay. And you can have time, why?
Like phone a friend.
it's
Like,
probably, it's probably
can I
not, it's
can I
probably not
get
a hard
help?
question. You're like, duh, Natalie, this is an easy question. But I'm gonna ask you, why should a company hire InsureQuest? What
Yeah.
is the benefit for them?
So the benefit of working with InsureQuest, um, first of all, we are truly a partner with the firm. I like to work with smaller and, medium-sized firms that may not have training, or they may have kind of outrun their training. They're growing past, what they currently have. So we spend a lot of time working directly with them, going through each of the systems from orientation through to basically whatever they need. So orientation, tools such as like, uh, sorry,
No,
training,
it's okay.
and like tools and like systems and processes, clarifying roles, um, everyday learning, just creating those tools for just-in-time support. So if an adjuster is sitting in, their position, they're like, hey, how do I do this? Having those tools quick so that they don't have to ask questions. And then just ensuring that that's all being used in the way that's intended.
Okay.
So that's all that we do. There's a lot of firms that look at training and they're like, well, I'll create a couple of videos, I'm going to put them up, and that's going to be our training. And what tends to happen is that training is great at first, and then it sits there. And then they might add more things to that library, but it becomes almost like the law of diminishing returns, where the more you put into that library, the more it sits there. And so it becomes truly like a library where there's a bunch of books. What we do is we take those books and we show the adjusters, hey, here's what you actually need to do. So take a look at this first, take a look at the second, and create a step-by-step path so that they can walk through all that.
Do they show resistance? The adjusters?
I think anyone that's been in this industry long enough knows that there is a subsect of our industry that thinks they know how to do everything.
No.
No. And anyone that's been a file reviewer can also attest to that. But what we try to do is not necessarily train on skills, because and especially we're talking about IA firms right now. So if we're working with an IA firm, the expectation is that the independent adjuster comes with that skill set already. If they're approaching that firm and they're asking for that fee schedule, and if they're saying, hey, I'm independent, then at least in my mind, and I'm sure I'll get some comments on this, they should have learned those basic skills. So what we do is we take those basic skills, we take all of that, and we align those skills with what the client expectations are. There's always going to be adjusters that say, I don't like the client expectations. But what I tend to tell people is like, well, it's like you're playing basketball and you walk up to me and say, well, I don't want to dribble. It's like, well, that's the rule of the game. So you're either, abiding by the client expectations, unless it's, not in line with fair claims handling standards. So I'll give that caveat. But so a lot of the training that we do aligns, not trains on skills. So is there pushback? There's always going to be pushback on client, client guidelines, but it's kind of like, it is what it is. So either you abide by it and work for this carrier, or you don't. So, and that's your choice.
Sure. Well, yeah, you always have a choice. Is it the right choice?
And that's the thing. And there have been some, as an adjuster, there were some firms I didn't work with, and there were some carriers I didn't work with, because at the end of the day, I didn't feel like that was a proper representation of my work. And I'm like, hey, that's something that I'm not going to do. So
That's got to be tough. Yeah, you have to decide as a company too.
Hmm.
What are you going to allow for your brand? Like it's your brand, it's your baby. What am I going
Yeah.
to allow? Yeah, that's got to be tough dealing with the just the adjusters. I know it was tough. Um, just when I was a claims manager, I enjoyed it though. I liked the challenge. I like the
Yeah.
pushback. It's okay if you want to push back. We'll make it work. We'll get it done. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's very interesting. We have a question from the audience. I'm going to put it on the screen. Can you see the question?
Okay, hold on.
Let's see. So the question from Alejandro is: Are
Alejandro.
carriers adjusting their claim handling strategies or budgets due to the drop in catastrophe related claims this year? What a great question. What are your thoughts?
That is a great question. Um,
Yes.
Girl.
The answer is yes.
um, I mean, I think anytime there are, yeah, I mean, I certainly think there are, there's an emphasis on wanting to
Mhm.
make sure things are done correctly. I'm going to try to like say this as but
No,
yes,
please.
I certainly no, I certainly think that it does change based on,
Mhm.
you know, based on where companies are. I think we would be, um, I think we would be, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Well, this is good. You said sorry.
Man,
um, this,
Alejandro,
but
I
wouldn't
love
this
you
be?
too.
This would be a good option. This is a good option for your company though, because you can
Yeah,
work on a contract basis and you can mold. Right, you can mold your services to fit their needs to a certain extent.
yeah.
Is that correct? Is that a correct assumption?
Well, so I mean, we work with, but
Mm-hmm.
it really is based on what the needs of the firms currently are. So there's always going to be a need to develop that learning system, whether
Mm-hmm.
the carrier is changing their guidelines or not. Like there's always going to be a need for that alignment. So um if there's
Okay.
a lot of change, that's going to need to be updated. So certainly that would provide additional opportunity. But
Okay. Well, we all know that running a business is difficult and has its challenges, but what keeps you motivated?
besides money, um
Yeah, besides money, because we all need money,
we
and
we
that's
all
a
need
great
money.
motivator.
I mean, yeah, let's start at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy, move up. Um, well, I think for me, I really am enjoying seeing this grow into something
Mhm.
really cool, and being able to see the result of the work that I've produced um, is honestly everything. Um,
Yeah.
I got a couple of really nice um, pieces of feedback from one of my previous clients talking about how we were able to take really complex claims information and make it simple to where they understood it, and that was something that they weren't able to do before. um, and that feedback and that knowing that I am contributing positively to a industry that has done so much for me for the last 20 years or so um, is really kind of cool.
I love that. I love that. I'm sure it has its ups and downs with with everything, but just reminding yourself, okay, why did I get started in the first place? I'm here
Mhm.
because of all the choices that I made in my career. And this is you know, a perfect career move for you because of all the experience that you had and the success. So that's so cool that you're doing this. I'm very, very impressed. and I've enjoyed learning about your company because we chatted before, you guys.
Yeah.
We chatted before the live stream, and it was a lot of fun. We had fun together.
Well,
We
and I
have
wanted to say too, and this is something I shared before too, but I wanted to share here for everyone is how impressed I've been that you've created this and made this platform. And I think this is really an attestament to what we can do as an industry. A lot of people think that they need to be, a COO or, someone in an executive position to be a thought leader, to get out there and affect change. But you literally did this, and you did it from
yeah.
something that a lot of people do on a weekly basis. A lot of supervisors have weekly meetings with their reps, but you took it a step further and you saw the value in what it was bringing. You're like, hey, let me bring this to the masses, let me get people involved. And now you have a platform that, there were 7 people that were reserved for today, and that to me is just awesome. So I've been a huge fan from day one since you've launched this. And I'm so excited to see where this is going for you. And I can't wait to
Thank
see
you.
what 2026 brings for Adjuster Hour.
Aw, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Seriously, you never know what people are thinking. If they're just like, "Oh gosh, I got another invite to Adjuster Hour from this
I know,
girl.
right?
Who is she? What is she doing? What is she even doing over there?"
What did you do?
Nobody has unfollowed me though, which is that I know of. After they receive a mass invite to my Adjuster Hour, it's I always go, okay, who has unfollowed me today? But luckily, it hasn't happened like that. But I want to say, for those of you that don't know, Adjuster Hour, and I'm going to speak on this because I have to. I love to talk. Adjuster Hour was a daily thing. It was a daily office hour, and it was just an office hour, but it was like a glorified office hour where I truly tried to help the team with their claims. We had guest speakers come on. Vendors would come on and speak to the crew. We had little mini trainings. We had this whole deal where we built a community, like camaraderie with our whole crew. And me showing up and them showing up every day, it was truly something special. And so when that was lost, when Minuteman got acquired by Davies, I no longer had my position. That's okay. Things happen. It's an acquisition. It's out of my control. I lost that. And so I missed that so much that I had to figure out how to bring that to life, to a broader audience. And this is what came of it. So there's more to come for Adjuster Hour. I promise you, I have things going on in the back of my head, but that's for later. So let's get back to the interview. We actually got a great amount of questions. I was really impressed. The audience came through and they asked some really tough questions. So as a
Like, no
as a
pressure.
courtesy to Erika, I did send her these questions beforehand because y'all came out of the woodworks with these questions, and I was very impressed because I did not think of any of these.
And I am not the best on the spot, let me tell you. Like, I think that's been
Yeah.
the other hardest thing. They're like, tell me about your company. And I'm like, I don't
I don't know anymore.
like seriously, it's yeah.
Yeah, that's what people say. What's Adjuster Hour? I'm like, I don't even know.
It's a thing. Just
It's
show
a
up.
thing that I do. I don't know. If you just take a look at it, But anyway, oh my gosh. Okay. First question. What is the difference between having a training material library and having an actual training system? Wow, that's a good one.
Okay. So, and I think I already talked about it a little bit in my rambling of what I do. So hopefully this will give some more
Sure.
clarity. But okay, so um a material library is just that. So it's content. So you've got your content, chill in there in your, in your OneDrive, in, wherever you have it housed. Like, think of it as like a shelf of cookbooks. So the cookbooks are there. You might eventually figure out, like, okay, what's for dinner, but you don't know what recipe, and you don't know if you're going to pick the same recipe as everyone else on your team. So they're there. A learning system is different, where it will tell you the meal plan, it'll tell you the grocery list, what what to cook. It'll give you the chef to check your work, and it will help you kind of from start to finish. So it guides you along the path, instead of just going like, okay, well, here's our material, figure out what you need to do. And there's a couple reasons why there's an importance to make that distinction. Because one of the feedback that I got there was, well, why can't we just rely on adjusters to go find what they need? And you can, but so everyone has a certain level of cognitive load. So at any given time, you can only do a certain number of tasks with your brain. So if you are not making that learning as easy as possible, they're going to spend that brain power trying to find the information versus learning and applying it. So they can find it, and it's, that's something that they can totally do, but by helping them out, you actually help solidify that learning.
Okay. Yeah, I love that analogy with the cookbooks. I think that makes the most sense. That clicks in my brain.
I'm a big analogy person.
Well, because you're a trainer, you're a teacher, so you have to, right? I shouldn't have expected anything less. Okay. So, okay, next question. These are so good. How do you measure whether a training program is actually effective or not?
So this is a good one, because I think right now in our industry, we don't always do the best job of this. Because if you take a look at the training that we have, for the most part, what's most of the training that we see? We see, like, we do CEs, we go to conferences, there's orientations, and we get the, is it complete? But we don't actually learn if it's effective.
Oh, hold on one second.
How you can get water.
Sorry.
You've got, no, you're fine. I've got my cat.
We got a lot going on over here.
Anyone that knows me knows that my cat will join at any given time during a session.
No, that's your brand. It's your brand. Yeah, my brand is a crazy household with loud children and everything. No, that's
You're
great.
good.
Yeah, I get that a lot, where you just do your CE, you're tasked with, you get an email, okay, you have to complete this CE, you have to watch this next training video, and you can go ahead and do those things, but and to complete it or to check it off your to-do list, but what are you actually learning and adhering, and how are you taking that knowledge and moving forward and practicing that?
And that's a big thing. So and we as humans are forgettable, like AF. Like, we do not remember things at all. So there's actually a learning curve, or a forgetting curve rather, Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, where after like 20 minutes of first learning something, you lose 40% of what you just learned.
I believe that.
And then by 7 days, it's down to like 75%. So you've lost 75% in 7 days. So if you think about, again, like all the CEs that we've sat through, like, do you remember any of them? Like, there are very few that I remember. The ones that are memorable are like the ones that are, kinesthetic. There's something that you actually apply. but the ones that you sit there and just listen to the lecture,
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you what I did this year.
I couldn't tell you either. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
a good
So
point.
yeah. So it's like, what do you measure? So you can measure things that are after the fact, or you can try to get some indicators before. So after, obviously, we're in claims, we're always going to look at cycle time. You're always going to look at errors, file reopens, your customer service. Um, you're going to measure and see if there's any difference with that after training. Anything like before, you can look for any sort of like post-training assessment. So do like a pre and post-training to see if they actually, retained any information, um, doing any sort of observation, um, looking for, and just kind of watching the adjuster. Are they using the process in their everyday life on their
Sure.
files? I mean, I guess that is our life. But are they proactively repeating mistakes, or did they learn
Mhm.
from them? Are they teaching, reinforcing process with others? So looking at those behaviors and stuff too.
And
So there's ways to measure.
the client is measuring that, correct? Not you. Correct.
So work with the client to help determine those measures. So
Okay.
I've created assessment tools, taken a look at, file, reviews and stuff like that. So that's absolutely something we can do with
Mhm.
our clients.
Okay.
But it's figuring out that um, what that measure is. And I know like your audience is a lot of independent adjusters too. This actually applies to independent adjusters. So
Mhm.
after, after you learn a CE, do a CE, what did you take away from it?
Mhm.
Write down a couple of things that you learned, try to actually apply them to your everyday claims handling. Set a thing for 30 days, go back to it and say, hey, am I still utilizing that or not? There's things that you can do even as an independent adjuster to measure whether or not that CE is helping you in your everyday life.
That's a good point. I guess once you write it down and you act upon it, it starts to click and becomes part of your routine after a while.
Exactly.
So, no, I love that. So, let's talk about some examples. Can you share an example of how to make a complex claims topic practical and easy to remember? So that you kind of answer that a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you wanna give us maybe any other examples?
Um, so I mean, I think for me, I always try to relate it to something known. So in
Okay.
a lot of people's worlds, especially when we're talking to policyholders, insurance is very foreign. So we start, and we always try to explain things in, um, without using jargon and stuff like that so that they can better understand. But if we can give an example that is relatable to them, that can actually anchor
Mm,
the idea. So the big one that I have used my entire career is when I talk about a deductible. I always referred to it as it's kind of like your copay with your
mhm,
doctor,
mhm.
because it's super simple. It's something that people, for the most part, understand. They're like, oh, okay, so I have to pay that first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or if there's like, a water loss, explaining like, okay, like if you spill a glass of water, that is a sudden and accidental. But if you
Mhm,
have a dripping faucet over the course of months, that's long term. So it's just
mhm.
like little simple things that you can take these abstract ideas and make them tangible. That's typically what I try to do, both in training and also with, client customer facing.
Okay, so what about in a cat situation? So you have are you brought on during a pre-cat, not pre-cat, but
Mm-hmm.
a cat hits, you have all these adjusters ready to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a service that you offer? And if so, how do you talk to the masses?
So you're referring to like adjusters?
Yeah, adjusters. Just
Mhm.
in the cat. The question was geared towards a catastrophe.
So in a cat, the biggest thing is to keep things as simple
Mm-hmm.
as possible. So certainly you're not going to go through um, every bit of
Mm-hmm.
training in a
No.
cat, right? You don't have time to sit there for a whole day to get all this information. So what I try to do and what I emphasize with my clients is to create like cat ready training, and that includes smaller like micro learning sessions to where each one are different modules in the order of the claims handling process. So starting from front to back, giving them in specific order, having them available so that the adjuster can rewatch it if they
Mm-hmm.
need to, um, having it spaced out so it's not all done at once, and then giving them as many tools as possible to make their job as easy as possible. So if it's a spreadsheet of different policies with different deductibles and stuff like that, that will help them out in the field or at the desk, providing those
Mm-hmm.
tools just to make it easier. And then to help stick all of that, have that follow-up training. So give them everything they need, follow up on a daily basis, give them a quick hit of, okay, let's focus on this today, let's focus on this. So that way it's not a, here's all the information you need in the course of
Mm-hmm.
a day, now go do it. Because what's going to happen? I mean, I know I've driven 48 hours to show up to a cat orientation, to sit there for 6 hours, and my God, I probably fell asleep 4 times. So you're not going to retain that
No.
information that way. So how can you provide it to the adjuster and have it be ready
Mm-hmm.
for them when they need it? So that's what I tried to emphasize and create with my
Oh wow.
clients.
Yeah. I love that. And I can imagine just having the challenge of bringing all the adjusters together and getting them up to speed in such a short period of time. So that's awesome that you're able to do that.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. It's a lot, and that's why it's so important to make sure that like that prep is done
Sure.
beforehand, because the more prep you can do before that storm hits, the better off you're going to
Okay.
be. So the time to create that program is
Yeah, I was
yesterday.
about to ask.
um,
Shouldn't you be up and running now before the cat hits? Shouldn't you be training these adjusters right
Absolutely.
now?
Or at least create the
Okay.
training. So for the most part, that training, and especially if you're talking about an e-learning
Mm-hmm.
system where they can access it, that's something that can be
Okay.
pre-created. So I have several modules that we have ready to go that can be customized based on client expectations and guidelines. I mean, for the most part, a lot of those guidelines are very,
Mm-hmm.
very similar in our
Yeah.
industry. There's always going to be some nuance, don't say this particular word, make sure the report looks like this. But for the most part, they're all pretty much in line with each other. So having that
Mm-hmm.
ready to go and then just being able to put in those final touches and getting it distributed when you need to, that's the idea for a
Well,
firm.
let me ask you this: who is your ideal client? What is your if you had your perfect client come to you? Who is that? What does
I
that
mean,
look like?
besides the one that would give me the $1 million invoice.
Yeah.
Um, and I say that as a joke because
Yeah.
So I've worked with Cat Claims Unlimited for a number of years, both as an independent adjuster, and then worked with them as a in that training role. And that was always my joke to Joey Lang, the owner, that he is going to get my $1 million invoice someday. So I hope he appreciates that I put this on there. But besides that, no, my ideal client is an organization that's growing, that needs a learning system from start to finish, that would want us to come in and work side by side with their operations team and with their internal team to really develop a learning solution that helps meet the needs of the business.
Okay.
So there's a lot of times where training is viewed as a independent body from operations, from all that, but really it's side by side. So working with everyone there to take a look at the business, see where the needs are, see what their ultimate goals are as far as their growth, what they're looking at, if they're looking at exiting in 3 to 5 years or so, creating a learning system and having that internal process developed actually adds pretty significant value in that sale. So just having that understanding and being able to help with that's who I love working with.
Okay. We have some more questions that were submitted. How do you see AI and automation changing what adjusters need to learn?
I love this question because everyone's been talking about AI. AI is like the new thing. And I mean, I'll start by saying, if you're not using some form of AI right now, you are behind. Like, just flat out, you are behind.
Absolutely.
Having said that, I think we need to, first of all, before anything else, focus on tech literacy and how to use it safely in our industry. So with being an independent, we have our own processes. So just being careful that if adjusters are utilizing ChatGPT, that they're not making personal information available online. So those data breaches and all that are a concern. So just having an understanding of what you can and can't do with that, and then also understanding that AI is not foolproof. There are a lot of hallucinations. You have to double check your work. You have to have an understanding of what it is before you utilize it. And the prompt is going to give you the response. So if you give it a really bad prompt, you're going to get a really bad response. I also think we need to be super, super aware that if we're using AI, so are people that have unscrupulous thoughts and are utilizing it for fraud. And
yes,
I mean, how many things have we seen where they're showing photos of auto damage and videos of fires and stuff like that? I connected with someone online because he shared a video that he created of a complete fire loss, all just from AI, and it looked solid. Like, it looked pretty solid. So
that's scary.
It is. And so it's understanding, okay, that's out there. And there's always been fraud. There's always been, documents that have been forged, but it's no longer the, document where you can see, there's something on top of it. It's been photographed. It's gotten much more sophisticated. So I think we need to be super, super aware of that. I think the most important thing out of all this, maybe I said that about the first one, but I'm going to say this is the most important, is making sure that if we are utilizing that technology, we train our adjusters on the basics.
Yes,
And I'll give a story.
absolutely.
So I worked, one of my first jobs was working at Mercury, and the training program was very, very good. And what they did for the field adjusters is they actually had them train on Mitchell, on the guidebook, instead of the computer system. And the guidebook was like that thick. And they showed them how to actually manually create an estimate. So how to, write up the damages, how to take away for any overlaps and stuff like that. So that when they moved over to the computer system, they understood what the computer was doing in the background. And I think we need to carry that same process and that same understanding to what we're doing now. If we don't train adjusters on what we're utilizing AI for, and we're just like, oh, well, the automation's taking care of that, just focus on this, we're going to move away from adjusters who genuinely know how to adjust claims to button pushers. And I think that's the challenge.
It's almost like in school when you have to learn how to manually multiply, divide, but you have a calculator at your fingertips.
So I was the kid that said, why do I need to learn to spell when I have spell check? So
there you go.
It's funny that I sit here on this platform now and I'm like, you need to learn how to be an adjuster when I was literally that person. So
look,
little Erika didn't understand that.
if you're an adjuster and you're at my house looking at my water damage and you pull out your laptop with ChatGPT and ask if my water loss is covered on site in front of me, I think I'd lose my mind. I think I don't know. Are people doing that? Because you have to know going into a claim. I don't want to know, actually. They're like, let me check something real quick. And they got ChatGPT on their phone and they're just asking these questions. But you need to know going into a claim, you need to know what's covered, what's not covered, because you need to know what you need to inspect further. Like, biggest example, if it's a deep, there needs to be a storm create opening. You need to know that going into it, so you can go on the roof, you can go in the attic, you can follow the trail.
Yep.
Do the right things. You need to, and that's the same with that's just one example, but you need to be trained on the basics so you know what you're getting yourself into and that you can relay that to the client, to the insured. Of course, I'm not saying you can make coverage decisions on site, but you need to have that basic knowledge of what you're doing. That is kind of scary. I really haven't thought about this that much until this question came about. I don't know. I use AI, but it's a tool, and that's it. It's a tool for me. It's not an end all, nor does it do my job, but it's a tool to help me do my job better and faster.
Yeah.
So that's how we need to look at it, I think.
I do like the AI sandwich. So I start with my prompt and what I want to say. I give it to AI and say, make it better. And then I finish with my own thoughts. And that, to me, that has worked really well.
I get that.
Yeah. But otherwise, just putting it in, be like, do my job, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Okay, we have 2 more questions for you. We only have about 10 more minutes. So what are I know it flew by. What are the biggest training opportunities you see in the independent adjusting space?
Ooh, I think, besides, what we just talked about with AI and all that, because I actually think that's really important. I think you actually hit on it, where decision making and critical thinking. And that's, I think, more so than technology. That is what is really needed. And I think we're seeing a lack of it. And it could be for a couple of different reasons. It could be because the skill isn't there, or it could be because adjusters don't have time to get into the claim to do the work that they need to. So whatever that is, whatever is happening, we're not seeing a lot of claims being handled the way I feel like they used to, where, the really in-depth decision making, the taking a look at everything and going, okay, what would be the next logical step?
Yes.
And I see that a lot in files where the adjuster's like, okay, well, I called. Like, okay, well, did you email? Well, no. Okay, well, do you want to do that then? Like,
and I'm not hating on adjusters. I'm not, because I'm an adjuster myself, and I'm, I get it. I get it.
And there's some days where you're just like, look, I got 10 claims. They each got a phone call, and that's all I did. And cool. So again, we need to take a look at, our adjusters getting the correct workload to be able to do their job, and if they are, if they have the correct workload, do they have the knowledge to do the job? So decision making, critical thinking, I think those are really, really important. I also think communication, particularly as we start to see more and more generations, interacting with each other. Like I said, my thesis work was on different generations in the workplace. And so definitely there are generational differences when it comes to communication and understanding how to best communicate with people that are in bad situations, that are dealing with, cat situations, that are experiencing trauma because of that. I think that's really, really important. We are often the first ones out there after a storm. And I know for me, we were out there, we did Michael, and that was my first Cat 5. And the look of people, like the look on their faces, meeting them was something that I will never forget. They were all just like shocked. And I know you went through Katrina, and I know you experienced all of that, which I cannot even imagine. Which I'm watching the documentary right now, and that's
it's fully being released. I'm gonna release the full 30. It's a 30-minute documentary, and it's gonna be released very soon.
It's awesome that you did that.
Yeah, it was. Speaking of that, it was something that I felt like I had to do for the 20th anniversary of Katrina. It was almost like I needed to have a living journal of my experience.
I get that.
Because what some people, what you don't realize when you go to these, very devastated areas, especially flood is just very, very devastating. It
floods, everything's gone.
Everything's gone. Fires are devastating. No peril is worse than the other. When it devastates your home, it's all the same. But it was very shocking to see what happened to my home. It was underwater for 3 weeks, fully underwater. And when I came back to see my home, it was, just completely destroyed. So was my neighborhood. That's the thing with Katrina. It didn't just destroy our home. It destroyed our whole way of life.
Everything.
Everything was destroyed.
That's insane.
So I grew up, seeing my aunts and uncles right around the corner. My grandma lived, right down the street. And so we went from having that small community to everyone living in different parts of the country and different parts of the state. But in the documentary, I talk about, there is trauma that happens after a catastrophe that we don't normally see. We go out there, we have to be the therapist sometimes, but it does something to you. The event does something to you, and some people get past it. Some people can survive it, and like in my situation, luckily I survived it, meaning I didn't succumb to like drugs, alcohol, or other things. But I say that because some of my schoolmates did go that route where they did do drugs. They did, become different people, and it was sad to see them, growing up with them my whole childhood, to see a whole different person because of what happened. So I don't think a lot of people see that, and now knowing that, if you're an adjuster, think you don't normally think about that, but maybe put that in the back of your mind that when you go out, this person's whole life could change from this event.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'm going to rebuild my home and everything's going to be okay.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And there's those lingering effects. So last question. But yeah, be on the lookout for the documentary. It will be released in full very shortly. If you have 30 minutes to spare, it's kind of, it's not a quick, what is it? When you're on TikTok, it's like quick little snips. It's not a quick snip. It's very, it's very personal.
It's not a short form video.
No, I tried to break it up. I was going to release a little bit at a time. I tried breaking it up, but it was just, it cut it up too much that you wouldn't be able to really get the story. So I released a few of them.
I think 30 minutes is fine for something like that. Yeah.
But last question, and this is kind of a plug. What is your advice when it comes to continued education for adjusters? What is the best route for them?
So I think there are some incredible organizations that are out there. So I always tell people, take a look at your local claims associations.
Yeah.
There's always something there. And then that will not only give you some free CEs, it'll also get you connected with the local, your local adjusters, and get to know some people, especially if you're at home like a lot of us are. It's nice to get out.
Yeah, I love that.
And there's also a lot of vendors that offer CEs. Take advantage of those. I try to watch as many of those as possible, just because I usually pick up something every time. And then we are in the process of creating some really awesome CEs that we will have available either Q4 or coming in 2026, focused on something different than what others are offering. So focusing on, those cognitive skills, decision making, critical thinking within claims handling, stuff like that.
Awesome.
Be on the lookout for that as well. Yeah. So we'll have those, and I'll post those online once we have those up and running. But yeah, I mean, it's those are really good sources. Obviously, if you can get to some of the bigger events, Rise has a lot of stuff. I know you're an ambassador for Rise. I think Rise is a phenomenal group.
It really is.
I think they've done some really, really good things in our industry. So
no, those are all great answers. I love that you said local association. I am the president of Louisiana Claims Association. So join your local chapter. Yeah. Join your local chapter and try to get involved. Really, for the education, you get to meet these people one-on-one. You get to ask these questions after the session. You really get to pick their brain. And you don't typically get that, online, or, maybe it's a huge conference. You just don't have the time. So, but in the meantime, before Erika releases her courses, if you need courses quick, I always say in person is best, but if you need courses quick, go to adjusterpro.com, save 10% with promo code adjusterhour10. Get those CE credits. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't, because you're not going to learn anything. Yeah. You're going to be swiping through the classes.
You're going to be stuck right in the middle of a hurricane needing to do your CEs, and
we don't want that for you. So be proactive, get involved, and just have fun with it. Remember why you started in the first place. Have that same person, that same passion come through, and do what you got to do. So that being said, Erika, it's been so great talking to you. I can't believe an hour flew by.
Fabulous.
Did you
I
have
know.
fun?
Oh, this was great. I'm so glad. Like I said, before we
Mhm.
started, this was one I really was looking forward to doing and spending time with
Aw.
you. So thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for what you do for the industry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere yet, Erika, but it's the end of the stream for us. So thank you guys for watching and submitting your questions. If we missed anything, just shoot Erika a message on LinkedIn. Definitely go ahead and follow her. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer your questions. And if you're a client looking to hire Erika, go ahead, Erika, let us know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So either, look me up on LinkedIn, or we have a page for InsureQuest on LinkedIn as well, or you can go to insurequest.co, and there's a contact form there. So either way, but best you can just send me a DM,
Send her a DM,
and we'll chat.
Awesome. All right. Bye, you guys. I will see y'all in a couple of weeks. Be on the lookout on LinkedIn for the new schedule coming out. All right. Bye, guys.